2013 CCAP Conference and Convention right here at the Marquee in Cebu. So how is everyone this afternoon? You know, we made a call to everyone at the Mactan Ballroom about 30 minutes ago. But everyone seems to be enjoying. And apart from the sumptuous meal that we all had this afternoon, it seems like, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, we have no room, no time for the interesting plenary session with speakers talking about global industry trends in the contact center industry, how developments in Asia, the Middle East, our very own contact center industry, economic outlook from no less than one of our respected economy. So ladies and gentlemen, may we ask everyone to please start coming in. We're about to start. And before that, maybe just to get everyone's attention and to wait, to please stand up. Everyone stand up. There you go. No need to fly. I mean, you know, we're about 800 delegates here and participants. What we can do is just to say hello to the person beside us. Hello. Good afternoon. Can we do business together for the Philippine contact center industry today and beyond? That's good. Now we have, but it seems like that everyone is still not in the room. Because our first afternoon will be presenting this year's Global Industry during lunch. He had a lot of interest in what we can expect in 2013 and going forward. Why should we listen to our first speaker? He has of immersed experience in the ICT industry, or the lead analyst for the customer management BPO worldwide market of Gartner's BPO Global Research Community, BPO research for ASEAN, specifically for Malaysia, Indonesia. He can be quoted and referred to for information and insights, industry, service providers, and sourcing initiatives. So, welcome to Cebu and to the Philippine Research Vice President of Gartner. Let me try to pronounce. Tervinder Shit, but short, TJ Singh. Let us all please welcome him on stage.
Thank you, Rico. And, you know, Rico, I'll tell you one thing. Looking at the crowd, reduce the attrition issue for today's contact center. Because everyone's back, you know. So, first and foremost, on time. And I'm going to provide you some visibility on trends globally and how that's going to impact businesses, as well as the Philippine overview around IT services and business process, specifically the contact center services. I would also like to share with you, which Gartner's going to show for the these slides will be presented in the US this and we will end with an overview of the shaping up. The presentation up. This is, it's always technology after lunch, right? So it's like, we think there's the technology issues that typically pop up. I hope they'll give me an additional 3 minutes for this, because I've got 30 minutes off. Well, while they're waiting for this, let's a couple of things that I want to share with you. As the overall develops and evolves, as we see the IT services market evolve, today is far different than what it was 5-10 years. Morning touched on some aspects of technology. I remember the days when, things that I always like to compare this is to the car industry. You remember the good old days when they did not have ABS as a standard for cars. You had to pay a premium for ABS. And today, ABS is basically a standard in all cars. So what happened was, you actually raised the bar. And that in itself is a competitive advantage that you need to make sure that you sustain and move forward with. I'll just check what's happening here. Right, we got it. So Rico, can we restart again? Just, right. Well, gentlemen and ladies, let's get started. Hang on. Okay, so this is then. I'll try to skip this as fast as possible. Okay, so this is what we had, and what's happening today is we have moved into an environment where we're getting some of the technology that's out there that's more consumable, in a sense that people are using high-tech technologies for specific consumer uses as well. So we've moved on from the traditional mobile phone towards richer content. And besides having to deal with the existing issues, we also have other content to deal with, which is like Facebook, social media products, and so on and so forth. So what I'd like to do first of all is this. I'd like to go through some of the key trends in IT services, and from there narrow it down to contact center services itself. So what's happening in the overall IT services and BPO industry? First and foremost, from a buyer perspective, companies are focused on asset-light activities. So in the sense that companies are looking to monetize on a lot of their existing assets. They don't want to take on more capital. They don't want to make huge capital investments. So where possible, they would like to consider externalization of services where it makes sense. Now to do this, you need to be able to have a fairly robust sourcing model. So clients, buyers are getting more sophisticated as far as their sourcing strategy is concerned. And they're looking at it more from an IT and BPO perspective, or business process services perspective. The third is that clients are starting to shift from the old way of buying either an ERP solution or a software solution towards more of a service model. So it's service-led. So can we buy this, rather than buy a solution, can I buy the service of you? And can it be also priced based on a per transaction or per use model? And the fourth aspect of it is around ecosystem. As buyers look to companies to provide them such services, what they are after is not only the company's ability to provide such services, it's also the fact that this particular organization has the ecosystem to support them with some of the new initiatives, new trends that are coming out, new services that will be emerging in the near future. So they want to understand what is your ecosystem. So from a technology perspective, who are you partnering? Who are you partnering from a service delivery model? What sort of global delivery network or global delivery model do you have right now? The other thing that you need to consider is the fact that besides the sourcing aspect, there are also some key forces. We call it the nexus of forces in Gartner. 4 key forces that are having a significant impact on our business. First, social. Now, you know that. There's a lot of activity there. You've heard about digital migrants, we've heard about digital natives. So that's beginning to emerge and grow. Mobility is another key factor to consider as we move forward. A lot of mobile phones. Now, to give you some statistics, in India, there are about 22,000 fixed lines, and there are about, I think, close to 1 billion right now, mobile phone subscribers. So it shows you how countries, especially the emerging markets, they've actually leapfrogged. They've moved on from a technology perspective. So mobility is going to be a key force to deal with as we move forward. The third is around information or big data. Now, as we capture all this information, what do we do with that? It's around analytics. You can do some really fancy stuff with predictive analytics as well. So companies are starting to consider that as they move forward. And lastly, cloud, the internet. How is this impacting our business? Now, in the contact center space, we call it business process as a service, platform-based services. We've seen some of this happen. Now, for those of you who've been to Singapore, everyone who drives in Singapore really hates it. It's called the ERP, where it's congestion charges basically. So when you drive past, you get zapped, money is taken out of your card, your smart card. Now, the back end of it is being driven in a private cloud. Now, obviously, there are virtual private clouds, there are public clouds as well today. So how is this going to evolve, and how is it going to impact our industry as we move forward? So these are some of the things to consider. And from a buyer perspective, how are things changing? In the past, they were very much BU-centric, business unit. They were buying, procuring these services for their specific needs. But today, it's moved to the front. It's the business need that needs to be focused on. How are these services going to impact the business overall, from sales, marketing, or customer care perspective? They're moving from an ownership model, as I mentioned earlier, asset line, towards an access model, services model. They're moving from an effort focus towards an outcome focus. Now, from a delivery model, obviously, we've seen a lot of talk about labor, focus on labor, and move towards automation. Are we there yet? No, it's a journey. And there are some services that I think we should automate. There are others that it does not make sense to automate. So the question around automation will continue to happen, will continue to play out over the next few years. And companies are making specific initiatives. And automation is not new. For most of you, password reset. In my good old days, we used to actually go look for the IT specialist in the IT operations room to actually come and do the password reset for us on the NT server. Today, everything is, we need something, we click the button, you get a password sent to your email, you go fix it yourself. So it's highly automated. We're moving away from a custom type engagement, especially in BPaaS, towards something that is more configurable and scalable, repeatable. We're also moving away from this concept of offshoring. Now, when I go to the US, everybody says, is offshoring still a play? Offshoring is here to stay. It is part and parcel of the supply model. It's no longer the case whether we should offshore, onshore, nearshore, farm shore, whatever shore. It is a case of where can I find the right talent, the right skill set, at the right price point for the job that I want to complete. And it can be from anywhere in the world. And I'll touch on this a bit later on how things are shifting from a global delivery model towards a global delivery network. So, as we